so your understanding, you didn't show understanding.
All right, guys, welcome back to Mondays with McGriff. That's the kind of stuff that keeps me coming back. Like I've always got something that say, okay, what can we be better at?
Man, that's a heck of a job, man. Walk all the way and come back, right? Come on.
All right, Yellow Jackets fan, welcome back to Mondays with McGriff. This is season 2, episode 3, summer session, our third Monday in June. We've got a lot to cover. We're gonna get right to it. We thank you for coming. Okay, our soapbox issue we're gonna talk about in the end. We've got a special guest. His name's KEVIN Sutton. He's been a lot of places, all right, but we know him in Polk County. He was the coach at Bartow Academy on their rise to dominance. Okay, so you'll get a chance to take a peek into our conversation a little later. Okay, but we're happy to have another guest on to the Mondays with McGriff. We're going to start with our review for last week. Okay, busy week. We had the Summer League action on Monday. On Monday, we were at Florida Southern. We beat Discovery 76-41. 76-41 on the main court at Florida Southern. It was our best performance of the summer so far. We've been working on some things defensively, and we really dismantled Discovery in what we were trying to do with what we were working with. I think at one time it was 63 to 23 or something like that before we kind of called the dogs off. So it was an outstanding performance. I thought James Rattery, the freshman, was very good anticipating, okay, in that game. I thought Messiah was good getting to the rim. I thought it was the first time that Red has looked like Red, okay, as far as his pressure on the ball. He just really got out there. Our rotations and traps on the defense, we really made it hard for Discovery's best player, Darius, to breathe. And our goal was to make it difficult for him, okay, and we did. And so it was a great performance, especially after we laid an egg against Santa Fe. So we beat Discovery on Monday, 76-41 in the league, okay? Then on Wednesday, we beat Victory Christian 80-62 at Auburndale Rec, 80-62. Okay, it was a close game in the first half. I think it was a 1 or 2 point game. Okay, you guys know we played 20-minute running clock halves with about 15 minutes to go in the second half. We got up by 4 or 5. Okay, at the 10-minute mark of the second half, okay, we had got up to 7 and 8, and all of a sudden, boom, floodgates open, and we wound up winning 80-62. It was a pretty good win, probably as good a win as the Discovery win was, because Victory's really got some good players. You know, they've got the Quentin kid, they've got Big MJ inside, they've got the guards, Tucker Fox, and all those guys. So it was a great win. I thought we had a Jakylan Crosley sighting. He had been missing in action the first Summer League games. Made some shots. His defense is getting better. I want Jay and his family to see this. Jay Crosley's defense is getting better. Got a long way to go. I thought Red really attacked the basket well in that game. I thought our defense, I thought it was 38-37 at the half. That's a high-scoring game. And then with about 4 minutes to go in the game, Victory had like 54 or 55 points. So for the first 15 to 16 minutes of the second half, I think they scored 15 or 16 points. So we really did a good job with our defense in the second half. So this kind of warmed down. We're experimenting with some things. Okay, we still haven't got there, but that was the review of the Summer League. Okay, we also had the Bartow Summer Shootout this weekend on Friday and Saturday in Bartow. We had 8 games on Friday in Bartow, 8 games on Friday at Carver Rec in Bartow, 8 more games on Saturday at Bartow High School, 8 games on Saturday at Carver Rec. We had 24 teams. We get the best teams that we can get from the I-4 corridor and beyond. Okay, and we don't run from anybody. Okay, we're playing playoff teams and in some cases Final Four caliber teams. So on Friday, we lost to Sarasota. Sarasota's a 7A school. They're in the same region as Winter Haven. Okay, and they'll be along with Plant City, some of Winter Haven's main competition in that region. Okay, and Sarasota beat us 78-77 in the first game yesterday. It was nip and tuck the first half, okay, a 2 or 3 point game in the first half. Okay, they really come out and take control in the second half. We just didn't do a good job defensively. Our offense was the problem. Very stagnant. Ball didn't move. People didn't move. We got a young team. We don't know how to execute our offense. We don't move. We watch the ball. We over-dribble the ball. That's typical when you got a new team and a young team. I'm not making any excuses. You guys know how I am. You guys have been on Mondays with McGriff for over a year now, so you know we're going to fix it. So, as you said, Coach McGriff, you scored 77 points. How is the offense the problem? If the offense is better, we probably score 90 and we hold them to 60. And so we got to get better offensively. It was a real problem. We got down by 15 in that game. And then with about 7 or 8 minutes left, made our furious comeback and actually took 2 1-point leads. So we took 2 1-point leads and couldn't hold it. Made a couple of turnovers and stuff like that and couldn't hold it and wound up losing to Sarasota 78-77. And they're probably going to be a playoff team. I'm not sure they're a Final Four team because one of the haters in their region, but they're a playoff team and a second or third round team, okay? Then on Friday, to end Friday, we beat Lake Island Prep, our brothers from Orlando, 75-68. You Yellow Jackets know we go to Lake Island Prep every year. We play the preseason classic. I think we had some footage from the preseason classic last year where I think we beat them at the buzzer last year. And they come to our stuff every year, so they come in the summer, and they also come, you guys are familiar with Lake Island Prep because they play in the Mosaic, right? We beat them 75-68, okay? We got up by 23 in that game. I think it was 44-21 at the half. And then right now we got a young team, so Lake Island Prep made some adjustments to what we were doing defensively, and we did not make any adjustments. I think we had 44 in the half and we wound up with 75, so our offense wasn't as good either. When we're not good on offense, we tend to hold the ball gets over-dribbled, we don't screen well, we're just new to the offense. We got a kind of a sophisticated offense and it slows us down and it hurts us. It actually hurts our defense. So Lake Highland Prep cut it from 23, I think it was to 2 or 3, and they had the ball. We made some defensive adjustments. We were able to squeeze them a little bit defensively, stretch it at the end, and we won 75-68, okay? On Saturday, we got, in the 2 games, we beat Tampa Catholic, 84-63. Tampa Catholic, 84-63. They were down a man or 2. They're still good enough, even down a man or 2. First of all, I thought in the Sarasota game, I thought Messiah and Jay offensively were good. I thought Messiah and Jay offensively were good. I don't know if anybody defensively was any good. We're not doing a great job on the boards. That's an area of concern. Okay, I thought last year's team, you heard me talk about rebounding. We got better and better and better. We started to rebound the ball like we call it here like a ham sandwiches on the rim, and we're not doing that against good teams. So we struggled against Sarasota rebound. Against Lake Highland Prep, we were okay rebounding. Okay, but then against Tampa Catholic, that was a problem again. They had a big kid inside. We really struggled to rebound against them. Okay, Jay Crosley kind of was streaky. He started shooting well. He didn't shoot so well, and then he got hot late. I really thought the freshman Jameer Wallace did a better job on the boards in the Tampa Catholic game. I thought Red did a better job getting in the lane, Messiah getting in the lane against Tampa Catholic zone. And then we revved the pressure up again. I thought we had a Kobe Terry sight. He has been missing in action all the summer too. So, you know, we call guys out. He's my guy. I love him. But he revved it up a little bit. We picked it up and we were able to beat Tampa Catholic 84-63. The last game on Saturday, we lost a heartbreaker to Fort Myers Gateway 73-70. Okay, in overtime. We were winning the whole game between 4 and 6 and 8. I think we got up to 10. We could not put them away. Why? Turnovers. We got a young team that's not poised. When very few teams pressed, Fort Myers Gateway pressed us. We were not poised. I like that they pressed us because we need We need for our guys to be poised. We also need for our guards to control the game with their voice. They're very silent and they just play, but they don't organize with their voice. They don't demand, they don't command the huddle. And so we needed organization, and we made some careless long turnovers and stuff like that. We also had a problem rebounding. Gateway had a post guy that just mauled us, had a problem rebounding. So McGriff, when you talk all this stuff, well, how do you stay in the game? Well, our defense kept us in the game early. Okay, the offense was good enough when we got the shots we wanted to. The ball movement was good. We got layups when we needed to. We just did not have enough to close it. It was 1 minute overtime. They kept the ball the whole time in overtime and we wound up fouling them. And it's 72-70, and then we can't get a rebound on a free throw. So then they make 1 out of 2 again, and we actually got a half-court play where Messiah got a chance to win it or send it to overtime again, and we couldn't make it. So Fort Myers Gateway, another good Final Four typish team. 73-70 we lost. We're hanging in there. We've got a tough schedule. This is the toughest summer schedule a Bartow team has had. So we like it. We set it up that way. That was the week in review. We had a big week in review, okay? We got so Coach McGriff, what are 4 things that you guys can get better on? First of all, our number 1 priority, we've got to be better on the boards, okay? Our size is a problem for us. We're not very big. We got to be better on the boards, okay? We've had teams that haven't been big and been found on the boards. So size is important, but not everything. We got to hit and get stuff like that. We're not doing that. Offensively, we're far behind. We don't move the ball well. We don't screen, okay? Turnovers are a problem, okay? We're making careless turnovers. We're making young turnovers, so we got to grow up fast, okay? Positioning on the press defensively, okay? We got to do a better job finishing. We're getting a lot of stuff in the lane and not finishing, okay? So our preview for next week, we've got Monday, we've got Osceola at Florida Southern, court 3. I think that's the East Court, okay? 8 p.m. today, Osceola. Today, Monday, court 3, 8 p.m. Okay, and then on Wednesday, June the 19th, we got Winter Haven at Auburndale Rec, 7 p.m. I think we're on court 2. Wednesday, June 19th, Winter Haven, 7 p.m. on Auburndale Rec, court 2. Osceola's getting better. They started out the league 0-3. They had a big wins in the league. They came to the Bartow Shootout, got a couple of wins. They're rolling. They got some pride. They got good guards. They're getting better. It's going to be a challenge for us. And then you guys know Winter Haven's been to 3 straight Final Fours. Their goal is to make it to a 4th one. And we are rooting for them, but we're not rooting for them Wednesday night. Like Coach Woodside said last week, they got Big Zay inside. They've got Trey that transferred from Lakeland. They got Eric, who's really improved. They got Troy Bosworth, who's really improved. Winter Havens, what do they want to do? They want to pound the paint with drive. They want to pound the paint with post-ups. They're going to rebound the ball. So what their strength is our weakness right now, rebounding. But they got some things that they don't do well that we're going to try to exploit too. So we're looking forward to Osceola on Monday, and then we're looking forward to Winter Haven on Wednesday, okay? Also, we're headed to the first live period. The first Florida live period, we're going to Gainesville, Florida, this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We're going to be in Gainesville Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We're excited about that, number 1, because Walter Clayton's up there in Gainesville. We're going to get a chance to see him work out and spend time with that family, with him who is family, right? And then we got 4 games, and we'll post this on all the social media on Thursday or Friday. But we play Friday against Fort Pierce Central, 4:40 on Friday at the Alachua County Sports Center. We play Evans at 8 o'clock on Friday. Yellow Jackets, if those fans, those names sound familiar, we went down to the Wiley Keller Classic and played Fort Pierce Central. That was the game that turned our season around. Okay, so we wound up winning 12 of the last 14 games, and we went crazy in that game. And so they got 2 really good guards. They're probably going to be angry after the way we beat them. We're looking forward to that matchup, okay, because they're looking forward to it. And then we also have Orlando Evans. Okay, you guys who follow the Yellow Jackets closely, we played Orlando Evans the first game of the year in the Metro Challenge over in Apopka. So 2 teams that we're familiar with. Both of them have their guards returning. Most of the teams returning. We don't have anybody returning but Crosley and Messiah and Kobe and a little bit of Kenny. And we expect to win those games or be in those games. But 2 great games. We asked for state championship caliber games. Evans was in the Final Four last year. Fort Pierce Central got to a 2nd round of the playoffs, so we're gonna get it. It don't stop there, Jackets. I'm so excited about the testing of the young Yellow Jackets. On Saturday, we got Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson was in the 4A, I think, Final Four. Okay, so we got Andrew Jackson from Jacksonville Saturday at 1:10. All of these games are at the Alachua County Sports Center. Okay, you can Google the information. And then on Sunday, we have Miami Stranahan. Actually, they're from Fort Lauderdale. Fort Lauderdale, Stranahan. You guys who visit the White House for the games, Stranahan's probably won 3 state championships in the last 6 or 7 years. We got them at noon on Sunday. Fort Pierce Central on Friday, Evans on Friday, 4:40 and 8. Andrew Jackson from Jacksonville, Saturday, 1:10. Fort Lauderdale, Stranahan, Sunday, 12 o'clock, all at the Alachua County Sports Complex. All those are playoff teams. A couple of them are Final Four state championship caliber teams. And that's you know, you guys know where 701 West Lime Street is. That's where we want to be. So that's our week of preview. We got 2 Summer League games. We got 4 games up in the Gainesville live period. For you guys that don't know, live period means that college coaches, Division I, Division II and NAIA coaches can already be out. But the Division I coaches are coming out. So there'll probably be 75 to 100 coaches there watching. And our team is probably too young for them to be watching, but they will take notes of our guys. So we're excited about that. Okay. Now for our special guest. Okay, we're going to start and log on with our special guest, Coach KEVIN Sutton of THEE Academy.
How you doing, Coach Sutton?
I'm a blessed man, Coach McGriff. How are you doing, sir?
Blessed and highly favored. Just finished one of those shootouts that you used to come to back in the day.
I love it.
That's finished 2 days, Friday and Saturday, so we can be home with the family for Father's Day. So awesome experience, and we got better. And you know how it goes. You've been here. You've been here.
I've been here, Coach.
Yellow Jacket fans, I want to introduce to some of you and reintroduce to the rest of you, Mr. Coach KEVIN Sutton. And all I'm going to say is, in his time at Montverde Academy, he spread basketball to anybody who was willing to learn it. A coach opened up his gym for us coaches. He did not consider any of us rivals off the court as far as sharing the knowledge of the game of basketball. So I can remember very early going to a workout where he was working out his players and he invited all the coaches in. I can remember a second time going into a coaching meeting he had put together with some of the best coaches. I was one of the younger coaches, but some of the best coaches in the I-4 corridor. I can't remember where it was. I don't know if it was at Montverde. I believe it was at Montverde Academy. And then Coach always took his Montverde teams and traveled. So probably the highlight is every time we had an event, he came to it. And then he came to the Mosaic Stinger Shootout with one of his best teams and one of our best teams. And you couldn't get a seat. I mean, it was packed. And so I want to introduce Coach KEVIN Sutton, and I don't want to tell all of his journey. That's my first question, Coach. I want you to tell everybody, give them your background and where you're from. I know where you're from, but I want you to tell it. Tell them how you got to Florida and Montverde. Tell them what your goals were at Montverde and what you did. I've got a story to tie it all together a little bit after you give that. But I just want you to connect with our Yellow Jacket and Polk County fans, who are many of them are familiar with you from your time there.
Well, first and foremost, Coach McGriff, you know how fond I am of you and what you've done down there in Bartow. But so thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to come on your show. I've watched it several different times, and every time I have an opportunity to watch it, I learn. And then I just get empowered, and I really feel your passion for what you do. So you inspire me. So Coach, I really want to appreciate you and say thank you for allowing me to be on. My story is real simple. I had great coaches when I was young. And so I knew I wanted to be a coach. And then I was blessed enough to go to James Madison University, play there, and then my college coach saw in me the potential to be a coach, and he knew that I wanted to be a coach because I was in my senior year. In the spring, I was commuting back and forth from the Washington, D.C. area to James Madison, and I was coaching my high school team where I played for the legendary Stu Vetter, who's a Hall of Fame coach there, and in high school, and then I coached the high school team. So I got bit by the bug early because I had great coaches. And so once I graduated from college, I was a student assistant coach for 2 years at James Madison University. And then I went back to high school and worked with Stu Vetter for 10 years at 3 different programs. And then I got the opportunity to start my own program, Coach McGriff, in 1999. Real fortunate. It was Montrose Christian.
Coach Christian.
And I was just really fortunate to start a program. I had great players and
Tell
great.
everybody where Montrose Christian is and tell them a few of the players, please.
Yeah, we were located in Rockville, Maryland. A few of my players was Jason Conley, who went to VMI and led the nation in scoring and ended up transferring to Missouri. Another player is named Marvin Lewis, who went on to Georgia Tech and started for 4 years and started in the national championship game. And now he's the athletic director at George Mason University. Levi Watkins, who is an assistant coach at North Carolina State University right now. So those are just some of the players that we had. And then I went on to Old Dominion University and had a great 2-year run at Old Dominion University under the late, great Jeff Capel Jr., God rest his soul, AKA Big Coach Jeff. And so spent 2 years there and learned a lot more about college basketball. But I knew that I had a heart for and a passion for high school basketball. So I went back to the Washington, D.C. area and coached in what we call the WCAC, which is arguably one of the best high school basketball conferences in the country. It's called the Washington Catholic Athletic Conference. Teams in that conference are DeMatha, Paul VI, Gonzaga, St. John's, O'Connell, Bishop McNamara, where I was the coach. And I was there for 2 years, Coach McGriff. And I'll be the first one to tell you that I left with a potential McDonald's All-American by the name of Tywan Lawson. I recruited him and he played for me for 1 year. And then I came down to Montverde Academy. And at Montverde, I was there for 8 years and I loved it. When I got here in Florida, I saw right away the athletes that the state produces. And I just told myself if I could get around some people that was like-minded and that wanted to teach the game of basketball the right way, we had enough athletes in the state, that we could do some tremendous things. And I'd like to say that I had some level of influence because I truly believe, like you, a man of faith, that iron sharpens iron. And in order for my players to continue to get better, I had to expose them to as many good players and many great programs as possible. So whenever you called or whenever you had an event, I was coming. Because I knew it was going to be first class and I knew it was going to be well supported. The community was all involved. But more important than anything else, it was the Christian spirit that you have that is so inviting. And I wanted my players to be exposed to that. And hopefully, we would take from the experiences we did every year, but also we would leave a little bit something behind for you and your players as well, because each year that we came down here, you made the districts or made the regionals, and then you bust that door down and you won a couple state championships. So I like to say that iron sharpens iron. Right. So I spent 8 years in Montverde, and then I went to George Washington University for 2 years back in Washington, D.C., Georgetown University for 3 years. So I spent 5 in the nation's capital. And then I went to Pittsburgh for 2 years in the ACC, 3 years at Rhode Island in the Atlantic 10, came back to Florida Gulf Coast and had a crazy successful year under Michael Fly there. And then I went out to Kansas State, 2 years ago, and we went to the Elite Eight.
Yes.
And now I am the technical director of basketball and have oversight of the women's program at IMG Academy. And I'm so happy to be back in the state of Florida.
Tell everybody, okay, a couple of questions off that before we get to our second question. Why'd you open up your gym when you were at Montverde? You didn't tell me why you opened up your gym to coaches. Well, tell our fans, I know why. Tell our fans, tell our Polk County community why that was important for you to open up your gym to coaches.
Yeah, Coach, that's a great question. So it started when I was back in Washington, D.C., and I was telling you about being in the Washington Catholic Athletic Conference. And Bishop McNamara is located in Forestville, Maryland, and we had a good program. Wasn't great, but it was a good program. And I wanted to raise the talent level of our program. And in order to do that, I had to, like I said, I had to expose them to, really good players, and so what we did was every Saturday morning at 6 o'clock, we opened our gym from 6 to 8. And Coach, we didn't do any games. Everything was all skill development. And so what we did was I invited the coach of the really good player to come because I wanted to make sure that they understood that I wasn't trying to steal their players. What I wanted was the best players in the gym, and I wanted my players to be exposed to other really good coaches. Okay. And so again, being the Christian that I am and like yourself, I really truly believe that iron sharpens iron.
Right.
Well, lo and behold, during those 2 years, Coach McGriff up in DC, we had arguably all the best players that come through that gym, and they trained every morning from 6 to 8. No 5-on-5, no 3-on-3. It was just skills and drills. And I'm talking players like Tywan Lawson, who went to Carolina and played with Tony, right? I think he played with Tony. Yep.
He's a little bit before Tony.
Yeah, and then we had Kevin Durant, Michael Beasley. We had Dwayne Anderson, Nolan Smith, Austin Freeman, all these kids that were in the area, and they came around all the time, and they were there every morning, and they knew what the deal was. They knew it was going to be from 6 to 8, and it was going to be all about skill development. But we also had the best coaches coming teaching, and it was just like a camp. So when I came down to Montverde, and it was so totally different when I got down here in the way things were done. Because in the DC area, 7th and 8th grade middle school, you can actively recruit. It was fair ground. So it wasn't a matter of little Kevin who's zoned to go to Bartow. And so it was hands off. It was like it's open season. So when I got down here, and I quickly realized that kids who if they were zoned to go to Jones, they were ready to go to Jones. If they were zoned to go to Evans, they were going to go to Evans because their parents had gone there or their uncles have gone there. So when I got down here, I was like, hold up. I'm trying to build this program. And the only way I know how to build this program is to open my gym up and make it accessible for people to come over. And then, and everybody did. And what happened in the end, as we all know, is Central Florida basketball was totally elevated. Absolutely. It was totally elevated. You had in 1 year, in 2007, for example, we went 30-0 and won a national championship. But that's the same year that Lake Howell had their best team ever. Absolutely. I mean, they had 4 guys on that team that end up winning a state championship, and 2 of those guys had long careers in the NBA. And then Nikki played NBA and overseas, and so, Central Florida basketball just really, really grew. That I-4 corridor, come on, man. I mean, we had Jason Rich, Austin Rivers, Jeremiah Rivers, Keith Brumball, Tony. We had some players, man, just coming out here. Marcus Capers. I mean, they were just up and down. Dr. Phillips had their run, so iron sharpens irons. And I wanted to open my gym up to expose my players to as many good players as possible. Scott Williams, Mark Grissick, those coaches that came in our gym, you came in our gym, and I expected you to coach my players the way you coached your players. And then later on, when I went to the collegiate level, I always came back, especially came to your gym because that class period where it was strictly basketball, I made sure I came, during that time because I knew high level basketball was being taught, and that's all I ever wanted to see. So that was the reasoning behind, starting to open my gym up to expose, my players as well as, my teaching and my philosophy, to everybody in the area so we could just dominate the whole state.
Thank you for that. And there's no question about during that time, you helped to lift the I-4 corridor area. It's some of the best basketball anywhere in the country, right here in high school basketball, right here being lifted.
Absolutely.
It was an awesome time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I got another question before I get to my final question. Mm-hmm. Talk to me about why IMG Academy. Talk to our fans. Mm-hmm. Why IMG Academy and what your specific role is there. What are you getting out of that and what are you giving to those kids? Because there's a different than, okay, for our fans, there's a different kind of young person there. Yeah. They come from all over, what maybe Bartow, they come from Bartow or the Polk County community. So talk to our fans about why IMG Academy, what your role is there and the differences between you being at maybe Monroe's Christian or Montverde or even a college and there. I didn't know you're not maybe on the court coaching as much. So talk to our fans about that.
Yeah, Coach McGriff, I've always known that the quality of a person's questions will determine the quality of my answer. So you're asking some outstanding questions. And it's real simple. You know, my youngest daughter, who's 14 now, was born in my last year at Montverde. Okay. And she was born in Orlando. And then I went on my path trying to reach my goal, which was to become a college head coach. And so I told you we spent 5 years in DC, George Washington and Georgetown, and then we went to Pittsburgh, okay, and then we went to Rhode Island, Florida Gulf Coast, Kansas. So that's a lot of time, that's a lot of years. And so she continued to grow. And what I saw in last, my last year at Kansas State, she just said, "Hey, Daddy, I'm going into middle school, and I want to start school." And I would like to end in that same school because, I'm really tired of being the new girl, and I looked at my wife, and I said, "You guys have allowed me this opportunity to chase my dream." And I've had wild success. I haven't achieved it to become a head coach, but I've had wild success. And so my decision to come to IMG in particular was a quality of life decision. Because middle school is hard as it is, for any student.
Absolutely.
But for a young lady, it's hard.
Absolutely.
For a biracial child, it's hard. But we have found the perfect fit. She goes to St. Stephen's Episcopal School, and my wife is the assistant dean of students there. So it worked, and she just killed it this year. Played 2 sports, lacrosse and basketball. Made the honor roll. Plays in the band, and. But I tell people this, our journey has taught her resiliency. She is a resilient young lady, and she has a unique quality of being able to make friends and keep friends. And she has all those friends in all those states. So, but coming to IMG was just a great opportunity. I've known about it for years, competed against it. But I got to be real honest and candid here. I did not know it was as vast as it was until I was there. Because it is a different model than that you alluded to, and so it's a corporation first and foremost, and so that model is totally different than any other model I had ever been in. Mm-hmm. And so my job as a technical director of basketball is I don't coach any team, but I am involved with every team that we have there at the academy. And so I'm really happy that my fingertips, can touch every player and every team. And my impact as a technical director is involvement with every team. So my job is to talk about how we want to play, and making sure that we have the right foundational information and style of play in place. So when a student athlete goes from team to team, because we have 2 girls teams and then we have 16 boys teams, so a total of 18 teams. So if we move one player from one team to the next, it's a seamless transition, for making up for balance or anything. But more important than anything else, laying out the foundation, just like you do, when they leave the academy, we want to make sure that they're well prepared to be a really good collegiate player, So, but we also give our coaches enough runway to land the plane, if you will, play inside the lines, but they have to teach these tenets, to our players. And then the other things that I'm involved with on campus, within our basketball, part of campus is coaches education, continuing education, leadership. We do coaching clinics, we do speaker series, Hoops IQ. I teach those classes, strategy classes, just mentoring. And me extremely well. All those things fit into my skill set. Yes. And so Brian Nash was the director of basketball, and he had tried to hire me 3 times before, and it didn't fit. Timing wasn't quite right, but now the timing is right. So I'm super happy to have the opportunity to do what I do. And it's also given me an opportunity to, if I want to pivot and dedicate my next, chapter of my life into athletic administration, I'm well prepared.
Yes. Thank you for sharing that. Because, you've got a unique perspective on the next question because of your time in the college game as well as in the high school game. So next question is, talk to our fans, about the state of college basketball Yes, and the question is the effect on high school recruiting. What's the state of college basketballs and its effect on high school recruiting? For we've got a lot of our parents that watch, a lot of the parents from other Polk County area schools that watch us. Talk about that for the fans, and because you got a unique perspective because of all your experiences along the way.
Yeah, this is what I say, Coach McGriff, is love the game. That's what we do. We got into it because we played it and because we loved it. We got into coaching because our playing days were over. We wanted to continue to be transformational leaders because we loved it. But we have to learn that it is a business. Okay, and it's a $1 billion business. That's what the letter B, not B, not M. It's a $1 billion business, and it's a $1 billion industry. And so the state of college basketball right now, college athletics, with the NLI, and the transfer portal, those two things came in simultaneously, and they just knocked college athletics for a loop. Now we're dealing in the Supreme Court having to come in and make decisions, for particular sports, for athletics, and then more specifically basketball and football, which are the two major revenue producing sports. So they're the driving forces. But we are also in a state of flux because during that same time, we had an FBI investigation, that 4 African American coaches, got punished, and got show clauses, and some of them are still trying to fight for their reputation now.
Tell the fans what a show clause is.
Well, that's almost like the death penalty, and depending on the amount of time that they give it to you, some of them's 5 years. That means you're not able to, be a collegiate coach, and that's, you got to spend a great deal of time trying to reinvent yourself and also rebrand yourself, and then you have to basically serve your time out, and then hopefully someone else will give you a chance to get back into the business, depending on what it is that you've done, okay, or have not done. And to this point, all those things that those guys got indicted for or punished for are legal now. So now, there's another, obstacle, another thing that you have to deal with. And with the impact of the NLIs and with the impact of the transfer portal where student athletes can transfer whenever they want, there was a time where you had to sit out, and then you could only transfer once. Right. Okay, and you were lucky if you got a chance to transfer, and they ruled you eligible and transfer twice. Well, now you have student athletes leaving all the time. Yes. And it just makes it really, really, really difficult. And everything is about is transactional. It's no longer the leaders in our business and the transformational leaders that we used to have are leaving the business, and everything's about a transaction. So that means recruiting is really, really, truly transactional. Your program was built on the fact that, a coach could come in there, or Kevin Sutton could come in there and, see Jeremiah as a senior and see a freshman running up and down the floor and know that I was going to come back to get him 4 years later. Mm-hmm. Well, coaches aren't coming, and it's sad, because there's going to be a lot of misevaluations. Mm-hmm. You and I both know there were a ton of misevaluations during COVID. Yes. Because we couldn't come out, coaches couldn't come out. So we did a lot of Zooms, and we looked at a lot of films, but we didn't get that real feeling of how a coach, how a kid responded. And I remember when I came down and Tony was, and I was at Georgetown, and I said, man, this kid is talented, and that on that particular day, he wasn't performing up to your expectations. But guess what? He responded to coaching. Right. As much as I saw his physical talents, I knew that he had coachability, when I left the gym that day. Right. And so, there was a lot of misevaluations during COVID because you couldn't see that. Where there's going to continue to be a lot of misevaluations, because coaches aren't coming to see, and they're recruiting high school student athletes last, unless they're there in the elite. Right. Coach McGriff, you and I, we talk about this all the time. The elite represents 3%, and they're always going to be taken care of. If you're an elite level player, you're always going to be taken care of. If you want to go to the top 100 and they don't invite you there, then you can go to USA Basketball. If they don't invite you there, then you can go to Under Armour U60. And if you don't get invited there, if you're an elite player, you can go to Nike. So you're always going to be taken care of because all those places, those entities that I just described, are vying for for you to come to camp anyway.
Right.
But it's the 97%. See, the 97% is the ones that need to be serviced the most.
Right.
But those 97% are the ones that are getting hurt the most because the 3%, they're signing early, they're committing early, and they're getting a ton of money. Whether whether the figure is accurate or inaccurate, it's a lot of money being thrown around. And Coach McGriff, I'm scared because I say I'm not sure that we're gonna kill the goose and lay the golden egg. At some point, whether those figures are accurate or not, it's still a lot of money.
Right.
That's being thrown around. And what we've learned is that the NCAA punted on first down. And here's what I mean. Okay, so the Congress said that the NCAAs had to pay the student athletes. And they should, because they made tons of money for years. Okay, so when Congress stepped in and said that the student athletes should be paid for their name, image, and likeness, the NCAA said, I totally agree. We're going to let the universities pay. So they punted on first down. So now the universities and the Power 5 schools, which represents the haves, are able to do that. And so it creates a classism within athletics. You're going to have the upper class, and just like in society, you're going to have a very, very small middle class, and then you're going to have, the lower class. Mm-hmm. And so the Power 5 schools are going to be able to do it. And then the figures that are being thrown out and paid to these student athletes right now is scary. Because the next piece that puts it in a state of flux is that now we got to educate these student athletes on how to pay taxes.
Right.
And we got to teach them how to manage their money.
Yes.
And not only the student athlete, but we gotta teach their circle of influence.
Family experience.
And the most important, and you and I both know, within that circle of influence is always an influencer. Okay, and so all these people have to be educated, and to know that yes, this could be generational changing wealth.
Right.
But it's almost like hitting the lottery. That's why people who hit the lottery oftentimes are broke because they hit the lottery once and they just think it's going to be that way and they could run through the money, right. And the next thing you know, they're broke. Right. So I say all that to say that it impacts high school. It impacts high school. And to the high school parents, you're going to have to be even more educated within the process. Okay, if you're fortunate enough and your child plays for Coach McGriff or some of the really, really good coaches that we have here in the state of Florida, you have to trust them. Okay, and you have to have patience. You absolutely have to have patience not to rush into any decision. And you have to stay consistent. Coach McGriff and I preach this all the time. What is the end game? The end game is for your child to go to school and have somebody else pay for it.
Yes.
Okay. That is the end game that we as coaches, transformational coaches, we try to work under. Don't start switching on us, okay, and say, well, I know you got him a scholarship to this school, but his dream school is Duke. Well, hell, I would love to be the head coach of Duke, but last time I checked, they got one. We don't always get what we want when we want it.
Right.
But sometimes we got to just make sure that we understand that if our end game is for our child to go to college and have somebody else pay for it, then you're going to have to be patient. You're going to have to be understanding, and you're going to have to educate yourself. You really are. You really are going to have to educate yourself to this whole process, and you got to trust. If you're fortunate enough that, like I said, if your son or daughter plays for a coach that is a transformational coach, then you need to trust in them, and you need to trust the process.
Thank you for the answer. I know there'll be some fans, some parents that appreciate it, and there's some kids that appreciate your unique perspective on it. So we got a couple minutes left, and I'll let you close it anywhere you want. It could be a question that you have for me. It could be a story from our time, or however you want to close it. But before you close it, I want to thank you for sharing, as you always do, and not just with us, me or us at Bartow, but with the country. But since we're in Florida and Polk County, with our Polk County community. So I'm thanking you before you close it, and now you can close it with however you want to close it.
Well, Coach McGriff, like I said, you know how I feel about you. So thank you for this opportunity to come on your platform today. I simply just close with this. I think that we have a unique opportunity as educators, as leaders, and as coaches. And I say that in that order because the platform that we have with the responsibility that comes with it is one in which that we don't take lightly. We take it very, very seriously. And in 2007, I was very fortunate enough to have a team that went 30-0 and won a national championship. And after the game was over, a reporter asked me, he said, "What does this team mean to you?" And I paused and I said, "This team embodies everything that I ever wanted to do as an educator, as a leader, and as a coach, because they allowed me to impact their lives. And they told me the stories because we were an international school. And so they were from around the world. And I said, and I closed with it, I said, so they allowed me to educate them, and they allowed me to lead them. They allowed me to impact their lives. They let me listen to their dreams, and then they listened to me in helping them trying to reach their dreams, and I said, it is my privilege to have these young men under my leadership, because now they are my living trophies, and we as coaches, as educators, and as leaders, we have a responsibility to impact as many lives as we can with the platform that we have and the time that we have to touch lives and create living trophies. So that's all I've ever wanted to do, Coach McGriff, and I try to do it as best I can and under God's leadership, and I've been really, really fortunate. But along the way, I've been, able to touch people's lives, but I've had my life touched by people like yourself. So thank you so much for having me on tonight.
Thank you for coming on Mondays with McGriff, and count me as one of your living trophies. So we appreciate all that you have done for me personally, for the coaching community in Central Florida, in the country, but in Central Florida and Polk County, and because you've helped us impact the kids of our community. So we thank you for it.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely.
All right, Mondays with McGriff fans, we'll see you, and this is a great episode. Thank you for watching.